What's up? Welcome into College Football Now. He's Tyler Jones. I'm Harrison Graham. The first batch of college football playoff rankings are out, and for the first time ever, it's based on the new 12-team playoff system. So before we react to the rankings and kind of distinguish the difference between the top 25 and the 12-team bracket, let's kind of explain some of these rules, Tyler, because it is the first year of this 12-team expanded playoff. The four highest-ranked conference champions will earn the top four seed and buys of this 12-team playoff. In other words, you don't necessarily have to be ranked in the top four to earn a first-round bye in a top four seed. BYU's an example of that, benefiting them. Ohio State's an example of that, not benefiting them, based on these first rankings that have come out. Also, just a couple other notes, seeds 5 through 8 will play at home in the first round, so you'll have some first-round games on college campuses, which is pretty awesome. And one group of 6 team is guaranteed a spot.
Yeah, it's a totally different format than what we've seen in previous years. I know it may be confusing to some, but we'll explain more as we kind of go along the way here. But basically now, to kind of put this all in a nutshell, folks, in years past, by now your team may be out of it already with a loss or two. But as long as you are within your conference championship race, you still got a chance at this point in time. And then you have the at-larges that are at stake. This, I think, comes at a perfect time for the sport where there's more parity than what we've seen maybe ever with so many good teams right now. I'm fascinated. And with what we're about to show you, these playoff rankings, we're setting up for some fantastic potential playoff matchups here in this first year of the playoff.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. Join us on this journey as we will continue to keep you guys up to date on everything going on in the college football world. We'll be live every single Tuesday night reacting to these rankings, giving our analysis, and a whole lot more, so do not miss out. All right, let's get to the rankings. Let's show the top 25 first, and then we'll distinguish the difference in how the bracket looks based on some of the teams actually ranked in the top 12. So, and remember, Tyler, with this being a 12-team playoff, these teams lurking down here, 15 to 25, very much still alive, especially Washington State and Army. If Boise falters down the stretch, they could be in position to get one of these, to get the group of 6 playoff spot.
Yeah, it's not over till it's over. And, you know, Boise State, we love their running back. God forbid something happens. That might be a whole different ball game for that team. What if they lose in their conference championship? They've had some close calls over the last couple of weeks. We'll see what happens, but a long ways to go in figuring this out.
Yeah, Clemson probably out of range to get an at-large, but still alive in the ACC mix. And again, if you win your conference, you earn a top 4 seed. Colorado, Kansas State, couple of Big 12 teams with 2 losses. If they could find their way to Arlington, going to be tougher for K-State because they have 2 conference losses. Colorado has just 1, so even though they lost the head-to-head there, Tyler, the Buffaloes actually in a better position to reach Arlington. Iowa State lost their first conference game of the year, but those teams still in the mix in the Big 12. And, again, you just got to get there. Then if you win that game, you're in the playoff.
Yeah, just got to get there, kind of shot at that point in time. And you look at that Big 12 race. I know that BYU's undefeated, but Iowa State, K-State, Colorado, that to me is the most fascinating of breaking down these conference playoff pictures because you very well might just have only one Big 12 team make the college football playoff. It might come down to a conference champion to get in and to get that first round bye.
The interesting scenario will be this. If BYU is 12-0 and loses in the Big 12 title game, do they still get in? That'll be fascinating to watch. We'll get into the top 15 and then the bracket here in just a few moments. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsor here on today's show. That is GameTime. If you're looking to go to a college football game down the stretch, some big ones coming up, hell, some college football playoff games, who wouldn't? GameTime is the place to get your tickets. Get off the couch this fall and go check out a college football game, an NFL game, basketball, NBA, and college, NHL as well. Lots to go do. Concerts, comedy shows. I always use GameTime because last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It's not just a motto. It's typically how it plays out. If you wait closer and closer to certain sporting events, those tickets start to drop, and you're able to get your tickets in plenty of time and go see your favorite teams and performers play. Use the feature GameTime Picks, which is going to minimize your time in terms of searching for tickets. They'll kind of just narrow down your focus based on your budget. Different price points within the venue. And based on what your budget is, you can just kind of click on those tickets within your price range and shop from there. Download the GameTime app today. Use code ChatSports to get a $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply there. That's code ChatSports, all one word, for $20 off. What time is it? It is game time. All right, Tyler, you're getting to the top 15. Ole Miss, by the way, was at 16, so you kind of had this string of two-loss SEC teams. Ole Miss at 16, LSU at 15, A&M at 14. Not a ton of margin for error there, but I think if you're those three teams, if you win out, you're probably going to get into that at-large range. Bama, with 2 losses at number 11, is already in range. So if you're a 2-loss SEC team, you're still very much alive.
Yeah, certainly so. There's not margin for error, and then you have to find a way to separate yourselves potentially from other 2-loss teams maybe within your own conference here. But you look at LSU and A&M, each of them with their non-conference losses, LSU losing to USC, A&M losing to Notre Dame, then you start to take it a step further. Okay, does this loss mean more than this loss? And could get pretty complicated from there.
Potentially in an elimination game this week, by the way. Alabama, LSU. Winner of that game is going to be in a good position to be an at-large team. Losers going to need some help to get back into the race. SMU, a great story. If they win out, they're guaranteed an ACC championship game spot. May have to win that game to secure a spot, but they're knocking on the door, which is quite a story. So is Boise State and their Heisman Trophy candidate, Ashton Genty, at running back. Pretty simple for them, Tyler. If they win out, they're the G6 squad that would be in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and their one loss coming to the Oregon Ducks, who I won't spoil, but pretty high up there. Not a bad loss on the road, a very close game.
By 3 points.
And I think that they showed that if they are in the playoffs, they are going to be a team that can hang with anybody potentially.
No doubt about it. Notre Dame at 10. They suffered that loss to Northern Illinois, but they've righted the ship. Big win over A&M in week 1 on the road is helping out their resume. BYU at 9. They're a top 4 seed, though, because they're the projected Big 12 champion. Again, the top 4 highest-ranked conference champs will earn those top 4 spots, so that's a big distinction. Indiana at 8, however, they're the 9 seed because BYU leapfrogs. They would actually have to go on the road to play Tennessee. We'll show the bracket in a minute. Penn State, I think my one quibble with the committee tonight, Tyler, I think they're being extremely overvalued. They lost to Ohio State. Sure, it was close, but who have they beaten? Illinois at home on paper is their best win. Why are they ahead of Tennessee?
The logo.
Tennessee beat Alabama. That's a much better win than Penn State has. I don't understand that at all. Why are they ahead of Indiana, who also doesn't have a signature win but is at least undefeated?
Right.
I think there's some weird things going on. If you're a Nittany Lion fan, you're feeling great. Just win your last 3 games against non-ranked teams. You're going to make the playoffs. So you're in a good spot there if you're Penn State. Shout out your favorite team. Who's your squad? And sprinkle a little extra if they're a playoff team in the comments section down below. Let us know who you're repping. All right, top 5. 2 through 5, 2 through 6, Tyler, I think could have been pretty debatable. I don't really have any issues after Oregon here. Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Miami. You could really make arguments for any of them to be 2 or all the way down to 5. So I don't really have any issues with how this played out.
Yeah, I don't have any issues either. I think Miami's in an incredible spot right now. They could potentially lose a game and still be in great shape in the ACC hunt, and maybe if their only loss is in the ACC title game, still be in a good spot. They have the non-conference win against Florida to their name as well. Georgia, I think, has been very
been a little shaky, yeah.
But they played better football as of late. I think they're trending in the right direction. Ohio State, to me, I'll be very curious how a rematch potentially goes with Oregon in the Big Ten title game. And Oregon, it feels like they're number 1 kind of by default. I don't think Oregon has necessarily played fantastic this year, but they've done enough. They are worthy of it because they're the best undefeated team, best resume of undefeated.
Yeah, because if you compare their resume to Miami or Indiana, it's really not comparable because they have a win over Ohio State. Miami has 0 ranked wins. Indiana has 0 ranked wins. So I think the Ducks have to be ranked number 1. kind of by default. So we'll see how they play down the stretch. But you turn this into bracket mode because you see Ohio State number 2 not in the bracket because, again, Oregon gets the Big Ten Conference Championship nod there. So Ohio State would play in the first round as the 5 seed, Tyler. And, hey, Ohio State, you're number 2. Your reward is Ashton Genty in Boise State coming to Columbus. So, they're valuing conference championships. They don't want to diminish those games in this new system. So you look at the bracket, this is how it shakes out.
Yeah, think of it like NFL terms. It's the value of winning your division.
Yep.
In that sense that these teams are being rewarded for this. But even if you're Ohio State, just because you're the 5 seed, that doesn't mean you're not in great shape. You still would have to go by Boise State and then play BYU.
It's a pretty good draw. I mean,
who
granted.
is the worst of those 4 based on seeding. That's not a bad spot to still be in position to get to a semifinal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, hey, you get a home playoff game, too. There's value in that, too. Less time off. So I think you said it earlier. I mean, these matchups I think would be awesome. A lot of new teams in the mix like Indiana, Boise, Tennessee hasn't been a playoff team before. Can Penn State win a big game of this caliber in that spot under James Franklin? I mean, Texas, Bama, would it get much better than that in terms of brands?
And the fact that we're not going to get to see them play in the regular season.
You'd get it here in this scenario.
Then we're making up for having these major conferences.
Yeah, pretty
all
awesome.
of a sudden. To me, I'm a fan of it. The playoff rankings, not perfect by any stretch, but I like that we have the idea of what this would look like, and I'm already just getting excited about potential playoff matchups of seeing what we could potentially have here. Long ways to go. I expect a lot to change between now and the final playoff rankings, but to me, we're setting up for the best postseason we've ever seen.
Yeah, most significant game of the weekend is Bama LSU. The loser of that game's in trouble in terms of trying to make the college football playoff. Grade the rankings from the committee. I give it a B+, A-. I don't agree with Penn State's spot, but they're probably worthy of being top 12, so it doesn't matter that much here on November 5th. We'll see how it plays out and how it ages over the next several weeks, but I think all in all, you'd have a lot of good matchups there and be very, very exciting. And I think what this outlines too, Tyler, regardless of how this plays out, you're going to get some really fun matchups.
Absolutely. You're setting up for an incredible postseason, and we've complained so much about these meaningless bowl games, players opting out and all of this.
Yep.
We have saved the college football postseason by having these expanded playoffs, by getting these great matchups. It's going to be a heck of a time.
Yeah, going to be great. Grade those rankings like we said, and join us every Tuesday night as we react to the college football playoff rankings.